skies and birds, but the refinery's burning. What I know, what I've seen, that's cooked. County country. Got an old tin roof trailer we called home. From our front window we watch freight trains roam. What I know, what I've seen, that's cooked. Country. Damn cold winters turn the sky gray. Black snow mountains never go away. But I know what I've seen, that's cooked. County country. Path through the prairie, we call them tollways, or take the cow side out to the lake. What I know, what I've seen, that's cooked. County country. Crime is killing. It's a goddamn shame. Crooked politicians out for the take. What I know, what I've seen, that's cooked. County country. Smoke-filled barroom, play David Allen Coe, like any old honky-tonk, raw, singing along. What I know, what I've seen, that's cooked. County country. What I know, what I've seen, that's cooked. County country.
Cook County Country. Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Songs Sung True, a Veterans View. I'm Tom Lamog, an instructor with the Cyber Chapter for Guitars for Vets and Cav Arts, the Challenge America Veteran Arts Community. Please welcome our guest, Tim Meegan Jr.
Thank you for having me.
Tim, thanks for joining us. Let me tell you a little bit about Tim. Tim is a U.S. Army combat veteran who served in Iraq, a firefighter with the Denver Fire Department, husband and dad to 2 children, a singer-songwriter with many of his own stories, and many he's going to be sharing with us tonight. He grew up on the south side of Chicago and the Chicagoland area with his mom, sister, and stepdad, Charlie, who he credits for encouraging him to play football and other sports, and also learning most everything he knows. Tim joined the U.S. Army when he served for 4 years including 1 year in Ramadi, Iraq from 2004 to 2005, which Tim says is forever etched in his memories. After Tim left the Army in 2006, his interest turned to joining law enforcement and went on to test with the Denver Police Department. Unfortunately, while he wasn't accepted, Tim later went on to test with the city's fire department, where he would eventually begin a new career as a firefighter, now in his 15th year. Musically, Tim recalls sometime in 2004 writing poetry and only knowing a few chords on guitar. But years later, he would return to school despite a busy home and career life, where he enrolled in classes both in person and online, including a class that helped him learn more about playing guitar. Since then, Tim has written several songs, has played numerous live shows, both as a soloist and with his band. He's made some TV appearances at the local TV station and was once scheduled to open for country superstar Michael Martin Murphey, an event that unfortunately got rained out. These days, Tim sings about the best and worst days of his life, which you can hear in several of these songs on his 2022 album, Cook County Country, which Tim has graciously offered to perform this evening. So welcome, Tim.
How you doing, sir? Thank you for having me.
I'm excited. I've had an opportunity to take a look at some of the things that you've shared online, your website, timmeeganjr.com, the videos that you shared, the recordings that you've made. And I have to tell you, there's a lot of poetry that I discovered in a lot of the tracks that you recorded. It really shows that you've been doing this for a while. But the recordings themselves, haunting, emotional. So I'm really looking forward to talking a little bit more about this. But let's go back, first of all, to Cook County Country. You know, I mean, it sounds like, you know, was this your first song that you've written?
It was not my first song I wrote. Probably about fourth or fifth, I would say.
Oh, tell us a story about about that song.
I'd written a few songs, and you really don't know where you fit, I guess. I mean, I didn't. And I texted my brother-in-law one day, and I was like, "Hey, so where do I what genre of music am I?" And he was like, "Well, it's a country-ish." He was like, "Chicago country." And so I was gearing up for a trip back to Chicago to see my family, and I was on a plane actually, and Cook County Country came to mind, and what that entailed. And for me, it was growing up in a what would be a city environment. You know, I didn't grow up in downtown Chicago where the high rises are, but where I grew up, I grew up in a trailer park. I grew up. I had railroad tracks like along each side of my trailer park. The area used to be a prairie before they built everything on it. There used to be blue skies until there's refineries, and it was just a homage to country music, but coming from a city point of view, I guess.
Do you still feel that way about the genre of music? Because they've got since then, there's Americana comes to mind. Artists like Nathaniel Rateliff and John Prine, of course, could easily fit into that.
Heroes of mine. Heroes.
Oh, are they really?
Oh, John Prine's a hero of mine. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like because there's so many different genres that are out there now, but it was really a wonderful song lyrically. Do you include your lyrics like in because I know you've got like the CD out and all that. I saw it on your website, and I did read through it. I thought, wow, this is reminiscent of maybe growing up in that area.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I include the lyrics. Lyrics is a big thing to me. Like that's the biggest part of music for me. Like I realize there are great musicians out there, people that can play the guitar like no other, drums, bass, violin, fiddle, whatever it is. But for me, it's lyrics. That's seems to be that's where I love to be.
Very good.
That's my home right there.
Well, and as we go through this evening tonight, we've got several songs. We're probably going to be. We've asked Tim to share as many of them as he can within the next hour or so. So he's got quite a lineup of songs. But before we get into more of your story and the music that you're going to share with us, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the young Tim Meegan. Growing up. Can you tell us a little bit about how your family may have described you, or maybe some of your friends in your youth?
Uh, Probably depends on who you talk to. I got a really large family. No, I grew up on the south side of Chicago and Chicagoland area. I moved around a bunch, apartments, trailer parks, um, but all within a very close range of each other on the south side of Chicago, where the city of Chicago hits the suburbs of Chicago. So, if you grow up in the area, you realize that it's hard to distinguish where you're at. Like you can't even see downtown Chicago. That's how big it is. But yeah, I mean that's where I grew up. I played
Did
a
you
lot
get
of
into
sport.
trouble much?
Uh, yes and no.
All
Uh,
right.
I try to be a good kid, but at the same time, like I had friends that, you grow up in an area, you have friends that you're loyal to, and you're gonna, I don't know if anyone's ever seen Good Will Hunting. It's kind of that same thing, man. Like, uh, my friend asked me, like, "Hey, who are we? We gotta do something," and we're gonna go do it for them because we're loyal to them.
So, do you, as a child growing up, are there any memorable events that you recall that kind of helped shape you into becoming, the adult that you've become that you can recall?
I feel like I'm through the therapy of music. It's ever learning. Like I think I'm learning who I become. Honestly, my stepdad was a very big influence with me. He was not musically inclined. Music was not a big thing to him at all. But sports was, and so to I played football for 10 years of my life, and I got into wrestling, and just that tenacity of like being competitive, and especially with those two sports. I mean, I'm obviously partial to them because I played them, but I believe they made me tough, and I believe that was part of my stepdad too and what he did. Um, I believe the music side of it kind of came from my dad, and because my dad was a musician too, and despite our rocky relationship in a lot of ways, um, the memories that I carry with him that are good, it's music related, and I've always loved music. I put it by the wayside until I was about 36, 37 years old.
So, in your youth, a lot of sports. Obviously, you were involved with that. Which
Oh, big time.
and did music come in really into your 30s, or do you have early memories
I
of
mean,
a
I've
lot of
always
music?
listened to music. Like I mean, I can listen to music and it can take me to wherever I was in the world at the time. Like I was always a fan, and I was writing poetry, and I realized that just doing what I'm doing now was never part of the plan, never something I imagined at all, and it just it just sort of happened in the past few years. But music has always been a big thing. Like I mean, my stepdad bought me I remember just a boom like that old uh, Magnavox or something like that. I remember I getting it for Christmas. And it had a CD player and a tape player, and you could plug a microphone in and do it. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world
Those are good old
because
days.
I could play, I could get CDs, and I could play tapes, the tapes that I had, cassette tapes, and it was just a huge thing for me.
And the world opened up. Did you have friends that were influencing you as well, either in sports or in music, or anything else?
Uh, I wouldn't say music, no. Not till I got to high school. High school, like that was like the melting pot of everyone in our neighborhood where different schools kind of came together. And so I'd become friends with people that were in band, but like like an idiot, I thought I was too cool for something like that. And not too cool. Just I played sports. I played football, so I was part of the football team, and but in the back of my mind, you go to a high school party and you'd hang out with people that were like, like, oh, I'm in band and stuff like that. it was something that was always intriguing to me. It was just I never thought it was something for me. I never thought I would find my way with that, but it was definitely something that interested me. Sports wise, all my good friends in the world, the guys that I would, take a bat to someone's head for, like I played sports with them. And
Very cool.
so it's been very fun seeing
Hey,
the evolution with this.
Which leads up to the next song, My Kind. And I'm going to read something off of your website. It kind of, which is really, it's awesome that you were able to put a little bit of the story behind the song, but maybe you can kind of fill in the rest. I've always loved Hank Williams Jr. and his song Family Tradition. My Kind is my version of that song. It pays homage to my crazy family and where I'm from, the shenanigans and consequences. What more do we need to know about this song you're going to play for us?
Not much more than that. Just, I love my family. They're crazy, and I'm one of them.
All right, Tim. All right, Tim Meegan Jr., My Kind. Go for it.
Daddy loves the cocaine. Mama loves the weed. I ain't casting stones, 'cause I'm somewhere in between. Got a lot of living, may never see. Sometimes that bottle load gets the best of me. Cause my kind don't live too long. Hell raising, dying young. This life on South Side, Chicago, Illinois. Born in a trailer, bound by my name. Round here all us Meegans wind up all same. Dropping out of school, doing time, Cook County jail. This curse you're born into, in an early grave. Cause my kind don't live too long. Hell raising, dying young. This life on South Side, Chicago, Illinois. Party all night till sun come up. Living like we're dying just because. My kind don't live too long. Hell raising, dying young. This life on South Side, Chicago, Illinois.
All right. Nicely done, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me come back on the screen here with you.
Hope you guys
uh,
did it okay. It's we normally
yeah.
jam out way more on it than I do it right there.
I know I know when we originally spoke, it's like, yeah, let's do this song, that song, and this song. Oh no, let's go ahead and do another song. But there's so many really wonderful songs on this album, Cook County Country. Um, so the I want to ask you, we're kind of approaching that point where now you're considering, enlisting, and U.S. Army was your choice. I was wondering what made you select the U.S. Army.
You know, in high school, I had it in my mind to be a pilot, and you know, uh, everything I'd read and heard about at the time was that like you have to be an officer, and so it was like, oh, you have to go to ROTC, you have to go 4 years of college to be a pilot and do all this, and so I had in my mind, I'm like, all right, I have to do that to do that. So I joined the National Guard in 2001 as a junior in high school, and the recruiter got me. He's like, "How are you going to play for college?" And I was like, "I don't know. You know, sports wasn't going to do it, and academics wasn't going to do it." So he's like, "Well, if you join the National Guard, you can get 4 years of college for free in the state of Illinois." And so I was like, "Sign me up. Let's do it." And I joined with what's called split option. So I went to basic training between my junior and senior year, and then I came back my senior year, and that's when September 11th happened. I was a senior in high school when September 11th happened, and I finished still thinking that I was going to just pursue being a pilot, and then I went to school for 1 year at Illinois State University, and the war was hot and heavy in Iraq, and I just honestly I felt like I was going to miss it. I felt like I was not doing my part. I felt like in 3 years it was going to be over, and watching people my same age fighting and doing things. I walked across the street of my dorm room to the recruiter, and I said, "Hey, I'm in the National Guard. I've finished everything. What can I do to go active duty? Because I feel like I need to." And yeah, it just from there I transitioned to active duty.
Did you involve your family at all in letting them know or what
No,
they
not at all.
thought?
I didn't tell anyone. I had a girlfriend at the time. Didn't tell her. I told nobody. Didn't tell my best friend. Didn't tell my family. It didn't matter. I was going to do it. It was a burning fire inside of me that was like it didn't matter what was going to happen. I was going to do it.
And by that time, you had already enlisted, and then were you deployed immediately?
No, so I actually ended up going back to MEPS, and I was when I joined the National Guard, I joined as a 13 Bravo as artillery. And so I redid MEPS. If you transition from National Guard to active duty at that time, I don't know if it's different now, they made me retake a bunch of tests, ASVAB, and gave me a bunch of different jobs. And so, funny story, when I joined the Army in 2001, before 9/11, 11 Bravo was not available, if you can believe that. And that's what I wanted. So I was like, I want 11 Bravo, and but this time I knew a lot more, and I was like, I want Ranger School, and they're like, oh, you can get Ranger School, but it was as a cook. Ranger School as a supply sergeant, and I was like, well, what happens if I get hurt? And they're like, well, you're just a cook or a supply sergeant, and I'm not taking any away from anyone that did those jobs. It was just I was kind of scared of like, well, I want to do that, but then I was like, well, what about special forces? And they're like, well, you can, you're an E3 right now. Like, and at that time, I think you had to be an E4, E5 ish. They're like, so if you just stay your MOS, like you could submit to that stuff. And so I kind of went that route. I was like, all right, I'll stay my MOS. And so they just gave me orders to go to Korea from there. I had a few months after I went to that dorm room, or from my dorm room to the recruiting office. I had about a few months before I left, And I went to Korea, just flew straight to Korea from there.
Wow. What was your you at some point you had to let your family know that I'm on my way. And when was your first communication to let them know that I've made my decision, I'm on my way? And
Uh, Sometime that summer, I would say I finished up the semester at school. Um, Told my girlfriend at the time, and then I went home and just sort of said, "Hey guys, I'm gonna go to Korea," and they're like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm leaving," because at that time I was 18. They had no say so in any of it. When I joined when I was 17, they had a lot of say so in it because they had to sign a lot of things. But then, yeah, it was sometime June time frame, and I ended up leaving for Korea in August.
wow. Hey, it brings us up to the next song. And this one is called Mama Mama. It's also on Cook County Country. Um, can you tell us a little bit about this song before you get into it?
Yeah, so when I was just delving into writing, like anybody out there that's trying to like figure out writing, like you realize that you just start turning over stones no matter where you find them at. And I was going through an old picture book, and I found a postcard that I'd written to my mother from I think I was in Kuwait at the time, Kuwait or Iraq. I think it was Kuwait. And I just what haunted me was my mom crying when I left for Iraq because I felt like this might be the last time I see her. And I was okay. She was not. And like the thing that hurt me the most was like, what happens to her if something happens to me? I'm just a dumb kid and didn't care, but felt like I was doing the right thing. But like I could see how much it hurt her, and I don't know how anyone else feels when you see your mom cry, but it, especially if you're the cause of it, which I tried not to do much, but it was definitely one of those things that it got to me. And but in this particular postcard, and it was what I kept telling her was like, I'll be home, Mom. I'll be home someday. And it was kind of a homage to the military cadence. If anyone joined the Army, there's a military cadence. It's Mama, Mama, don't you cry, your little boy ain't gonna die. And I just sort of played off of that when I wrote the song.
I enjoyed the song. Let's share it with the group here. Tim Meegan Jr., everyone.
Mama, mama, don't you cry. 'Cause I'm not gonna. I ain't gonna die. Gotta head out now. Make it on my own. It's gonna be okay. And I'll be home. Yeah, I'll be home someday. Shipped on out now. I was 17. Oklahoma, army green. Took your boy, made me a man. It's gonna be okay, and I'll be home. Yeah, I'll be home someday. Took a rifle, put it in my hand. Send me off to a foreign land. Got your letter, just the other day. It's gonna be okay, and I'll be home. Yeah, I'll be home someday. So mama, don't you cry, 'cause I ain't gonna die.
Hey, Tim. Nicely done.
Thank you.
So let's get into your military career. Maybe you can share with us some of the things you remember most about your deployments.
Ramadi, Iraq, 2004 to 2005. It was a trip, you know. Fallujah was hot and heavy, and we got there, and Ramadi was, you know, not a place that too many people heard of at the time, I think, when we got there. But what it turned into is what they've made movies and written books about, I would say. And we were right there at the turning point of that, because my remembrance of it is that they pushed Fallujah. They actually stood us up to go fight in Fallujah, and we were in a convoy getting ready to head out, and they stood us down, and the Marines had regained control of Fallujah, and then they all came to Ramadi to fight at that point. And so I'd gotten there in August of 2004, late August. And come October, you know, the fight was on. It was happening every day for us. And I was just an artillery guy, but I'd gotten trained up to be infantry. And so my battery, my 100 guys, we were in Humvees and on foot patrols, patrolling a certain neighborhood and street of Ramadi, Iraq, and you know, shit just hit the fan at that point for us.
Did you see yourself change quite a bit when you entered Ramadi from maybe your previous deployments?
I'd never had a previous deployment other than Korea, so
so this is all new.
It was a drastic learning curve. I mean, it went from, I mean, I can, you know, for me, the very first combat, like, I remember it vividly. I wouldn't say sound wise, but I felt it. I don't know if that makes sense, when, you know, bullets are impacting around you and explosions and that kind of stuff. Like, but I just felt it, I would say, more than, you know, Saving Private Ryan does a perfect example of when they land on Normandy, when like you just don't hear it, but like you feel it. I think that's the best version of what I think I went through, especially in the beginning part of October.
You shared with me that song that kind of focused your experiences in Ramadi was Return Fire, which is actually what we used to promote tonight's event.
Yes.
And that's I see that that's the next song that you'll be performing for us. What I see on your website, the way that you described it, it says one of the saddest stories that came from my deployment to Ramadi came from my friend. And maybe you can talk a little bit about your friend and you know, about the song itself.
Yeah, my buddy is his name is Jongjim Na Kim. He originally born in Korea, but Hawaii had become his home. Joined the army out of there, and he ends up getting stationed in Korea and in my unit. Became a good friend. He was next door to me in my barracks in Korea. So we got to know each other pretty well through having drinks and whatnot, and just in Korea, we all hung out. Like, we didn't have our families at all. So we worked together, we partied together, we trained together. Like, everything we did was together because we had no one to go home to as far as like family. And so everyone in my unit got very, very close. But yeah, so we had known that his wife was pregnant for, the train up going into Iraq, but, the Army's still going to send you. And so they sent us. And, the dates are a little hazy, but it all happened within the first week of October, I would say. That I was out on patrol with my team, and I had a sniper take a shot at me. And I had a soldier say something to me, and I literally turned my head to talk to him. And as I turned my head, I had this crack that went by my ear. It did go by my ear, but like all I heard was a crack. So much that it pierced my eardrum. And I really didn't understand what happened to me because we hadn't been fired at yet. Like, I'd never been shot at before. Like, I thought you'd hear a whiz, like what movies teach you. It was just something that I just didn't know at all. And my guys laughed at me a little bit because I kind of stumbled off, the Humvee and like fell to the ground. And they're like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Did you guys hear that?" And they said, "Yes." But they didn't hear it to the extent that I did because it went right by my ear. And everything that I learned was that the cavitation of the bullet is what, eventually what pierced my eardrum. It was that close, which is like, you're talking, I don't know, half an inch, whatever the cavitation is breaking the sound barrier. Like, that's what happened to me. And my guys heard something, but it was one shot. It was like, it was over. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, we can trace a firefight and fire back. It just didn't happen that way. And so just didn't, they were like, oh, these kids were throwing rocks over here because we had, a bunch of Iraqi kids playing soccer close by. And I was like, that was not a rock. I'm like, I cannot hear out of my ear at all. And so like I said, that was the beginning part of October time frame. And then maybe a day or so later, again, it's hazy when the days actually tie together, but my friend Kim JJ, we called him Zhang Jim, not Kim, but we called him Kim JJ. He said my kid was born. I had a son. His name is Apollo, and he had some cigars, and so like a handful of us just lit up cigars and celebrated the birth of his son. They were starting to put together a list of like going home on leave, and like, well, he was going to be the first one to go because he was a private, he was a brand new dad, and he was going to be the first to go, and he was going to leave in, I don't know, roughly 2 weeks or so, I would say. And so the mission went on, and on October 6th, he had a sniper take a shot, and it killed my friend. It killed him. It killed Kim JJ. And I had to pick him up. I put him in my vehicle, and I, got him to a helicopter, hoping to help, and just wasn't meant to be. He died that day on October 6, 2004.
Terrible. Just terrible. Oh man, so sorry to hear that. Well, listen, thank you for sharing that with us. There's the song. We'd love to hear you play it if you're willing to share. Return Fire.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, sir.
Tim Meegan Jr.
So dirt roads got me nervous, little too quiet round here. Call 'em again, don't think they heard us. Keep an eye on the rear. Shots from the right, take cover return fire. No time to wonder. We're in for a fight. And all alone. For your life. Make it back home. Return fire. Time goes by and you feel no heat. Killing time, walking around. Expectations are words on streets. Now I know where you hear the sounds. Shots from the right. Take cover. Return fire. No time to wonder. We're in for a fight. And all alone. For your life. Make it back home. Return fire. Saw a good friend die today. Thinking about a son he'll never meet. There must be some kind of mistake. That bullet was meant for me. Shots from the right. Take cover. Return fire. No time to wonder. We're in for a fight. And all alone. For your life. Make it back home. Return fire.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
This is from the album Cook County Country, which was a release from 2022, and the collection of songs this evening. It looks like these were written sometime during the pandemic. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, pretty much. Just started just a little bit before, and then the pandemic was a great time to sit around and do nothing other than I still had to go to work, but I could still come home and
Fighting fires.
drink some whiskey and music.
Oh, that. Oh, so who do you draw your inspiration from when it comes to writing? I mean, these are definitely thought-provoking, deep lyrics as well too, and they are spot on in my mind, drawing the imagery of what was happening around you at that time. But do you have certain songwriters that you draw from to help you write these songs?
Oh, big time. I'm a big Waylon Jennings fan. I'm a big Johnny Cash fan. I'm a big John Prine fan. Townes Van Zandt. I'm very inspired by like up and comer bands. Not I wouldn't say up and comer. They're doing it right now, and they make me want to do it. But Sturgill Simpson is one of them. The War and Treaty. If you haven't heard of them, they're phenomenal, and they inspire me a lot.
Do you listen mostly to the lyrics or the music when you
For me, it's lyrics. I'm always a lyric person.
Oh, sweet.
And I love the story behind it. The War and Treaty, Sturgill Simpson, Loretta Lynn, Chris Christopherson. Like they all got their start later in life with music. And like for me, like I felt like when I started, it was like, oh, it's too late for me. I'm 36, and then you start hearing these stories and you're like, oh, man, maybe not. Maybe I got a chance with this.
I'll say,
yeah. So you find these artists, and I just listened to a podcast with Warren Treaty. If you don't know them, I'd highly recommend that you go out and listen to them.
Well, real good. We'll definitely do that. Yeah, I did. I took a much closer look or a closer listen to Townes Van Zandt. Most of the music that I listened to growing up, the singer-songwriters of Southern California, where I grew up, Jackson Browne, Joni Mitchell, and I kind of stayed within that little circle of singer-songwriters. So when I on my last trip out to Arizona, put on Townes Van Zandt, I was like, wow, there's some really recognizable stuff. Some stuff that Lyle Lovett had covered. He's a contemporary Americana artist, if you will. Done some country work as well. But yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome that you're pulling from those artists. Now, the next song that you said you would go ahead and maybe play a little bit for us, or the entire song for that matter, is April 16th, 2005. Can you tell us a little bit about the story behind this song?
Yeah.
And before you do, because here's the thing that stood out for me when we talked about this, is that there was something cathartic. There's something, that you find playing this song, just the sense that you get of playing it. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
For me, writing music it was therapy for me, right? And I love that other combat veterans, other veterans as well, can relate to it. But for me, it was a way to express to my family and my friends maybe what I went through. And I hope that it's a way that like other people that were not in the military and not combat related or anything like that, that like maybe they could gain a better understanding of, their mom, their dad, their brother, their sister, their best friend, aunt, uncle, this, it goes on. Like everybody knows someone in the military, but there's very few of us that ever serve. And so for me, it was very therapeutic to write it, but I also, I think when it was said and done, it was just like I was pouring my heart and soul to explain why I am the way I am, and even in the future, my kids, like they understand a little bit right now, but they're going to get older and they're going to wonder, why is my dad the way he is? And, yeah, I poured my heart and soul into writing this in, kind of what I went through and like explaining what happened to my unit in Iraq. Not I mean, I'll throw out dates at the end, but the dates are like very close to me. Like I was there, it wasn't just someone I knew in the distance. If I did that, I could have 60 dates, but I have 6 dates that, stick with me very, very vividly. And April 16th is the biggest one.
Well, with that said, would you like to play it for us, Tim?
I'd love to.
All right, Tim Meegan Jr., everyone.
Nights I wake up in my bed, all these memories living in my head. Guess the whiskey only helps for a while. Now I'm shaking, dreaming I'm about to die. You can't go to war, not think about it anymore. Losing a friend you never see, again. Weight of a trigger underneath my finger. Can't go to war, not think about it anymore. Bad days coming, bad days go. Someday my kids wanna know why their daddy needs to be alone. 'Cause I'm thinking, feeling that goddamn woe. You can't go to war, not think about it anymore. Losing a friend you never see again. Weight of a trigger underneath my finger. Can't go to war, not think about it anymore. Now let me tell you why. October of 2004 saw 3 of my friends die. October 6th, 12th, and the 29th. Then on April 16th, 2005, 3 more died in just one night. One more gone after we got home. See, he just couldn't take the pain anymore. It was 1 year in Ramadi, Iraq, and I'm seeing, feeling we were never coming back. You can't go to war, not think about it anymore. Losing a friend you never see again. Weight of a trigger underneath my finger. Can't go to war, not think about it anymore.
Tim Meegan Jr., everyone. Tim, I want to just tell you that, from a civilian's perspective, now my dad was, he was in the Marine Corps, and he fought in the Korean War. Didn't tell a whole lot of stories. And to this day, I still wonder what it was like out there. And your stories, you're one of a handful of veterans who've shared their stories and have kind of opened my eyes to some of the experiences my dad may have encountered, but more importantly, the people that I'm talking with these days, like yourself. And so I want to thank you for sharing that.
Well, I appreciate you giving us an outlet. I mean, I think there's not too many of us that are doing it, like there's very patriotic songs out there, Toby Keith can write a great patriotic song, but I just don't know that he understands what it's like to be the very few that lived it. And I think that's what I try to do in the songs that I write about, the military side of it. I'm a very patriotic person, don't get me wrong. You got to know the truth. And that's what makes it country to me.
And you know what? I think on your website, you do mention something about telling the truth about family and friends, and that's at the heart of your songwriting.
It's the only thing I know how to do right now. I mean, I think I could BS a different story, I think I could. It just doesn't feel genuine to me right now, I sat down with someone else and said, "Hey, help me tell the story." It might come out more genuine if, they're telling me their story and I could do it. I just can't make up something really. Like it's not in me at the moment, I hope to be, I hope to expand my songwriting abilities, but right now the only thing I know is truth. And that's my truth and the ones that are around me, that I try to tell.
You're giving us goosebumps, Tim.
Appreciate that. I hope that's a good thing.
Paul Lilley's going to be joining us in a little bit to throw some of your questions out there. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask Tim, please put it in the chat so we can go ahead and share that with everyone as well too. There's a song that's going to be involving your children coming up. So if they're there, maybe you'll kind of bring them into the picture here. But
I hear them. They're
are they on deck? Are they in the green room?
Stuff in the background right now. I got my one good ear unplugged right now, so it's
Well, listen. There's a song on here, and you tell me if you want to, play just a little bit of it, or if you want to play the whole thing. But I found this one to be interesting. A little. Let's see. I don't want to say this wrong. Telling lies. It actually brought a smile to my face. It was pretty lighthearted, and I don't know if you can tell us a little bit about that. It's called Telling Lies, and it's kind of like, well, wait a minute, aren't you telling the truth? But now you're a song. What's the story here?
It's the only song on the album that was, I guess, co-written. I guess I had a little fire going in my backyard, and I was drinking some whiskey, and 37-ish around the time I guess I wrote it, and it was midnight, and I was like, "Damn it, I'm gonna feel this tomorrow." And like, I just realized that I hate getting old. I do.
Oh.
Nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, you remember being 21 and,
ruling the world.
5 a.m. would come around. It's like, oh, no, wake up at 7 and just do it over. And, I'm like, I'm going to pay for this. And so I'd written basically the first verse and the chorus. And just on a whim, I texted my brother-in-law, and I texted the band out of Louisiana, and they're called Vivian. Just a shout out to them, that got this whole ball rolling for me. They were the ones that first heard me and said, "I want to record your music." But I was like, "Hey, I wrote this verse, match it." And basically, I was just writing about, how sometimes we can still get ourselves in trouble. Like, you still feel like you're 21 and you can still do it. And
I think Michelle just chimed in, said, "I'm in." Do we want to go down there, Michelle? Oh gosh! Oh, hey, look!
Boy, they just walked in behind me.
I see you've got your ensemble. Let's talk a little bit about your family and getting involved in your music. This next song, "Charlie, I Don't Forget." I understand this is about your stepfather, and on the flip side, the facts here are that it had over 1 million hits when the video you posted. Did I get that right?
Yeah, it went viral on TikTok. I'm not a social media person at all. And I put it out there, and I put it out like Friday around noon, just like, put it out there. And then by like 5 o'clock in the evening, like something was happening, and it was wild to see, because it was just, it went from like, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 30,000. Like, it just kept rolling and rolling, and I had people commenting and reaching out about it, and it seems like a lot of people had like a Charlie in their life, and that's probably why they could relate.
Wow. Well, hey, you got to bring your choir back. They ran out of the room. We'd love to hear the song. I know that this was this was big for you. This really kind of put you on in the spotlight in a lot of ways. But Charlie, I Don't Forget is featuring your your kids. Would you like to introduce your kids?
So this is Natalie Meegan, and this is Patrick Meegan. And, the story behind the song, when I wrote it a little over a year ago, I realized that me and my sister were the same age that they were last year when my stepdad came into my life. And it was around Christmas time. And my sister had recently come out to visit, and we realized how memorable that time was for us, so much that we went and got a tattoo of our trailer park number on us, me and my sister. And after she left, I had all these memories in my head of that time. And, like what stood out to me was the very first Christmas that we had with my stepdad. And that's where the first verse came from. And then I just wrote about all the other little memories that, like, he kind of created with me, and none of them music related at all whatsoever, mainly sports and whatnot. But
well, you got to play it for us. There's more to this story, but let's go ahead and share this. Tim Meegan Jr. and his family.
No.
Thinking back to when I was 8, first Christmas in the trailer, Santa finally came. Charlie, I don't forget.
No, Charlie, I don't forget.
'91 Mustang, dropped in a second, stuck to the seat, down 147. Charlie, I don't forget.
No, Charlie, I don't forget.
Bulls games, Saturday Notre Dame, Wildcat Sundays, when the Bears would play. Charlie, I don't forget.
No, Charlie, I don't forget.
Who thought do things you do? I ain't even kin, and I'm just like you. Charlie, I don't forget.
No, Charlie, I don't forget.
I'm all grown, got 2 kids of my own. Grandpa Charlie is all I'll ever know. Charlie, I don't forget.
No, Charlie, I don't forget.
Thinking back to when I was 8, first Christmas in the trailer, Santa finally came. Charlie, I don't forget.
No, Charlie, I don't forget.
Charlie, I don't forget.
No, Charlie, I don't forget.
Natalie and Patrick Meegan, everybody.
Very nice. Hey, that was awesome. And by the way, for your son, go Bears, go Broncos.
He's a Bears fan. My daughter's a Broncos fan.
Yeah,
Also
that's, you do your I know that you do your son does a sports update, or this is the football predictions, the NFL predictions. It's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Tim.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we're going to go ahead and bring Paul on in just a moment here, but I want to go ahead and remind everyone about the mission for Guitars for Vets. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Our cyber chapter allows veterans to enroll in the G4V program free of charge and complete private lessons online. These lessons are individualized and designed to help veterans learn guitar at their own pace. Upon completing our 11-lesson program, veterans receive a new acoustic guitar and the accessories needed to continue playing. Registration for Guitars for Vets Cyber Chapter opens on the first day of every month and remains open until full capacity has been reached. For more details and to also support the mission through donations, go to our website, guitarsforvets.org, and help us put music in the hands of heroes. Hi, Paul.
How you doing? Thank
How's
you.
that? Was that all right?
I've trained you well. That's great.
All right. Hey, so Q&A time. Paul, it's
So,
all yours.
Timothy, thank you so much for opening up a vein and telling us your personal stories through this art that we call songwriting. It's phenomenal.
Thanks for having me.
Not sure why, but Joel wants to know if you're a fan of the Blues Brothers.
Well, of course. I mean, yeah, I grew up close to the mall where they filmed that the scene where they drove to the mall in. It was an abandoned mall where I grew up. So it was one of those things that was always, my family like, that's where they filmed the Blues Brothers. Like, it was always in the back of the mind, like, hey, that's where they filmed it. And I actually went back there and played a show in Chicago, and my mom drew the poster, and we had about 100 of them made, and she was like, well, what do you want me to do? I was like, well, think of the Blues Brother poster that they did in the movie. And so she designed it off of that. So, yes, I'm a Blues Brothers fan.
All right, I got another question here from Anonymous, and depending on your answer, it could be a really short rest of the night. Beatles or Stones?
Stones, for me.
Oh,
No. Keep going. Right. Good answer.
so
You heard the new Stones album? Like, I'm not a fan of new Stones music, but Dreamy Skies by the Stones.
have you heard the new Beatles song?
Oh, now you know who Anonymous is.
That's true. So we do have a serious question here. I want to introduce Dennis, if Dennis wants to. Tom, can you ask Dennis to unmute? Dennis is a Guitars for Vets student right now, and he had the opportunity to go to Nashville through the Creative Vets program, where he met with some professional songwriters and wrote a beautiful song about his grandfather and his son. And I think Dennis has a question for us.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. I'll shorten it rather than what I said in the chat. So I went through that program and I had the intention of writing about my service, but with collaborating with the songwriters, sorry, get choked up talking about it. Something deep down came out. It was about my grandfather and son having never met each other. And it was easier in the songwriting process that came out because it was multiple people. Is it easier in general doing that, or should it be more just sitting down and writing? Like, I'm just trying to get a grasp because I want to continue the story and keep going.
I would, for me, like, I just write. I write, like I'm having a cup of coffee or a glass of whiskey. Like, I write. And you can always go back and rewrite, like I don't really go into it with a plan. Sometimes it's just one line. It's one sentence that comes out. And it sounds like you have a phenomenal backdrop to a song. And so I would just write as much as you can, like I wouldn't make it specific one way or another. Just write as much as you can and then go back and rewrite, especially if you have it to music. I would just keep rewriting until you sit down one day and you're like, that's what I want to tell people right there. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be cut and dry. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe there's an exact formula to this whole thing.
I'm I'm also going to ask Frankie to unmute. Frankie, you win the prize for, I guess, longest virtual miles for the program. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Paul. Greetings, everybody. My name is Frankie Perez. I'm currently the program coordinator here in Puerto Rico for almost 3 years, and it's been a fantastic program. And I'm over the roof because I met Tim 2 weeks ago at New York, and we crossed paths. And he invited me to this, and he's like, "Have you heard about Guitars for Vet?" I'm like, "What?" So thank you, team. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everybody, for allowing for this, and looking forward for Tim to come down to Puerto Rico and play some music here. And you too, Paul.
I think Michelle's working on the airplane tickets as we speak. I'm not sure.
She probably is.
So yeah, it's a lot here. We have a special community around 73,000 veterans in Puerto Rico, and I think allowing us to merge music, it's so powerful. So I'm over the roof here with all of you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Frankie.
Any other questions before we close it?
I know you've got one more question to ask. Right?
So
this is the
Tim,
pop quiz portion of our interview.
I like to ask all the veterans that come on and do this. I'm a civilian, so I haven't seen what you've seen. I haven't done what you've done. And again, thank you for that. But I'm really, I'm kind of, where do you get your resilience from? I mean, you seem very resilient, and I just wonder where that comes from.
I think it's probably a combination from childhood, sports, going in the military. I think it's just, every day's a new day. You wake up, you got to take it on. You get knocked down, just get back up. And I think that's just a motto that I've learned. I was a big wrestler. I was big into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And it's just, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. It's just, you're going to get knocked down, Are you good at getting back up? I think. And I think I'm just good at getting back up. I mean,
there's a song in there.
That's what I try. Someone wrote it. One of my greatest songwriters said that I really inspires me. His name is Jeremy Pinnell. Want to do something. You ever heard it? Or no, Fighting Man. It's called Fighting Man by Jeremy Pinnell. It's a great song, and I think I'm quoting him a little bit in it, but it was just like it was speaking to me. But I mean, that's just who I am. I get knocked down, but I'm good at getting back up.
Well, if any of you would like more of Tim's music, I put his website in the chat, and there's a page on his website that has, I'm going to say, over a dozen, I think you called it raw versions of your songs. It's just Tim and his guitar, kind of like tonight, playing the songs. So it's a really great way to sample more of his music.
Very raw versions. I was doing that for my mom before.
I didn't mean that in a bad way.
That was before any of this became anything. So like it was very raw versions. I was just, my mom doesn't have a way for me to send music, but I could send her YouTube. So I started doing that.
You're also streaming too, right?
I am.
Yeah, streaming.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm on Spotify and iTunes. So my first album I've recorded, and I have more coming out. In fact, next week, November 24th, will mark the first song from the title track from my next album, which is a full studio album, is coming out.
Awesome. Hey, and the vinyl version, save me a copy and autograph it.
I'd love to. Appreciate it.
No expectation whatsoever here.
Oh, I got one for you.
So, I don't know if this is the last question, but what would you like people to know about you and your music?
I think it's just, I speak the truth. I think a lot of music, whether lyrically, people write great songs. They do. And I don't know that they are true lyrically, but I think something about believing the artist that actually wrote them is another element to it. And I think that's where a lot of great music comes from. A little known fact about me, I love early rap as much as I love very early country. I mean, I'm talking like Hank Williams. I'm talking, even Waylon Jennings, just the guys that like, they lived the life that they're talking about and they wrote about. And I think there's a authenticity to that I enjoy, that I believe that's me. And so when I say I'm country, that's who I am. I'm authentic in what I'm writing. I've lived it, and some of my new lyrics. There's people I wrote about, but they're very close to me, and that's why I wrote about them. And I'm just authentic in what I'm doing, and so cool. I may not have hit the right notes for everybody to say that's a hit, but you could sit up there and believe your ass off that like it's real what I'm saying.
All right. Well, listen, we've got one more song. Tim, we're going to have you sit back because this is a video that you shot, or someone shot, maybe a friend of yours, and we included some of the lyrics. And "These Scars Are Mine" is the name of the song. And is there anything we need to know about the song before I roll the video?
I would say this is the song. It was the very first song I wrote. I wrote as a poem. Is when I went back to school, realized I had some remaining GI Bill money, and I used it to go back to school. But ultimately, I was using it to go play guitar, learn how to play guitar. And I wrote a poem one day, sitting in the bar, feeling the way I was feeling, and this is what came out. And there happened to be it was around November time, it was Veterans Day, and they're like, "Oh, is there any veteran poetry?" And I entered it, and I ended up winning the entire thing. I didn't even know it. Like they made a giant poster. I was supposed to show up and accept an award, and I had no idea. I didn't even show up at all. And my father-in-law was like, he's told me many times, he's like, that has to be a song. That should be a song. Nice. And it took about 2 years before I finally turned it into an actual song. So. No one knows my story, and I don't care anyhow. 'Cause I sit here in the corner of this bar, another shot of whiskey, bartender please, another pint of Bud Heavy, help put my mind at ease. If only for an hour, if only for tonight. Ever since I've been back, things aren't quite right. These scars are mine. They will be till the end. I earned them in blood. I earned them in friend. Blood on your hands changes a man. Spend the rest of your life just doing what you can. Mother told me, son, you're not the same. Saw another side of life, and that would change any man.
sit back and I reflect, realize I'll never forget things you can't imagine are the things in my head. Remembering 1 year over there, it's like doing hard time. No chance of parole, memories for life. These scars are mine. They will be till the end. I earned them in blood. I earned them in friend. Blood on your hands changes man. Spend the rest of your life just doing what you can. Another shot of whiskey. Bartender, please. Another pint of Bud Heavy. Help put my mind at ease.
Tim Meegan Jr., everyone. Tim, it's been a real pleasure. We are coming up on the end of our program with one last question. Any words of wisdom you can share with our community of veterans learning to make music a part of their life?
Just go do it. I mean, if you find yourself, you got 20 minutes in the day, pick up that guitar, pick up a pen, write. I would say do it. I mean, I'm nobody, but it's, that's where I found my time, just 20 minutes a day of just picking up the guitar or writing. And don't think too much about it. Just do it, because you probably have something to say.
All right. Well, listen, stick around, everyone, if you would like to say hello and goodbye to Tim. Hang on, we'll go ahead and let you do that. But for right now, we're at the end of the program. For Guitars for Vets and Cav Arts, the Challenge America Veteran Arts Community, I'm Tom Lamog and would like to thank you for watching. Have a good night. Thanks,
Thank
Tim.
you, Tom. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Paul.
Thank you, guys.